Hello, Durud and Shalom. Let me see if this is working. Okay. All right. Hello, Durud and Shalom. Okay, guys, look at this. We're live on YouTube and on X Space at the same time. So we're going to be seeing if anybody comes up here today to debate us. I am going to be taking the pro-Israel position. I'm going to see if anybody's going to come up here and take the anti-Israel or anti-Zionist position. But usually we have to wait a while until somebody shows up. That's okay. I'll just interact with the chat until somebody shows up. Oh, people are already showing up. That's weird. Who's that? So it says a listener, but I don't see it here. Okay, so this is the new way, the new method that we have here. Let me see who's in the chat. Stephanie is here. Nail Bunny is here. Jack is here. Delta is here. Guys, why is it that I'm seeing your names now instead of your username? Is it back? That's fantastic. Okay, I see your names again. Victor is here. Mohsen is here. Juris is here. Durud, Night Owl saying Durud. Okay, guys, so like I said, we're going to wait and see if there are any anti-Israelis that will show up. I put the link to the show, to the Twitter space, pinned it in the comment section. Sorry, pinned it in the live chat section and also in the description in case anybody wants to show up. Let me see. If anybody comes to the Twitter space and wants to talk, they could raise their hand and I will give them the microphone. I give them the mic to speak. So Jack is saying, Delta is saying hi. Victor is saying hi. Fantastic. Let me see. Ginga is saying hi. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shauna is saying hi there. Oh, we got a super chat already. That was fast. Yeah, new haircut. I got a new haircut. So somebody in the chat just gave us a super chat saying, I certainly won't debate you. I used to be far leftist who thought Islam was progressive. It took several ex-Muslim women and secular Muslim women engaging with me to change my views on the religion and Israel and Gaza. Well, that's amazing. Congratulations for coming out of that cult. Really appreciate that. That's amazing. Fantastic. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but thank you so much for the super chat. And I really appreciate you supporting the channel. Somebody in the chat is saying pro-Israel and pro-Israel in South Africa. Well, that's great. Well, we need more pro-Israeli people there. Amir saying hi, Armin the Great. Well, hi. They kicked my arse. Painful, but I'm better for it. That's good. That's good. They corrected you. All right. So I see somebody here. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Guys, you can see below the screen below. You can see the people who are coming. By the way, the anti-Israelis usually show up around 15 to 20 minutes into the show. So if they show up, let them know in the chat that the link to the Twitter space is pinned on top of the live chat. And if they want to come up and speak against my position, that's where they could do so. And again, here I need to click here to see if anybody would raise their hand to show up to talk. Let me follow back this guy. Anybody who comes to my Twitter space, I'm going to follow them back. Oh, Alfred is here. Let me see if I could make Alfred the co-host. Invite to co-host. So let's see if that works. Alfred, I invited you to co-host. I'm just going to respond to the chat until somebody shows up. Proud of my fellow ex-Muslim woman. That's fantastic. Sean is saying, Base, so proud of you for listening to the women's and their experiences. And also men's experiences too, right? Men also suffer a lot because of Islam. Islam is not just anti-woman. Islam is also very much anti-man. Islam is very aggressively anti-man and anti-woman. So it's not just anti-woman. Okay, some people are here. If any of them want to debate me. Stephanie saying, I mean, back in the day, I was drawn to Islam too, but I never was under the delusion that it was progressive. So that's an interesting take. Yeah. Oh, Fadawi is here. Men dying a lot because of Islam. Islam says Islam is anti-woman because it teaches that men should be slapped, beaten, and they should be obedient and just accept the command of men. But also it's anti-man because it says men should go and die in battle. I mean, you could argue that it's more anti-man than anti-woman because it teaches you that we should beat up women, but for men they need to actually they should go in front of spears and swords and die for the sake of Allah. So if it was between a slap, I mean that's horrible. Between a slap in the face and a spear up my bum, I'll pick the slap any day. True, but okay, so I miss. Yeah, where's Diamond Christian Abdullah? That guy was crazy. He doesn't show up here, guys. The anti-Israelis, when they show up, let them know that I'm on Twitter Space and they could come up and speak. I mean, so Neilban is saying true, but if you take their woman away, you remove their way to spread Islam. Well, I mean, we're not taking their woman, right? Like their women are leaving themselves. But yeah, I see your point. Oh, Stephanie's saying Armin looking good. Well, thank you. A lot of people are commenting on my haircut. Yeah, Amika is saying like the stream. Yeah, everyone, please like the stream. No, Amir, I'm not inside Iran. Sharon is saying, I know Armin, but a lot of people don't want to listen to the woman's experiences because they just think that women's individual experiences were bad. What do you mean? People listen to women more than they listen to men. I don't know what you mean. Finn is saying, whose idea was it to invade Iraq? Oh, so is this an anti-Israeli? American politicians, Finn. It wasn't because of Israel. It was American politicians decided that. Oh, guys, the anti-Israelis are showing up so slowly. It seems like it. I'd rather self-delete than live in an Islamic utopia like Afghanistan. That's okay. That's Brigitte just said that. Iran is guys, the crazies are showing up. Somebody which I cannot pronounce his name is saying Iran is a Shia. That's not Islam. I mean, Sunni Islam is not any better. You think you're defending Islam by saying Shia is not Islam. First of all, Shia is Islam, but Sunni Islam has enough shit in it for us to just if you just want to focus on Sunni Islam, there's plenty of material there for us to shit on Islam with. So I don't know. It's funny how so many Sunnis think that they're defending Islam by saying like Shia is not that's Shia, that's not Islam. Okay, buddy, they're both shit. If you want to call it Islam or not Islam, they're both shit. So I don't give a crap how you categorize them. So Uncle Sam is saying, "Are you gay or no?" No, I'm not, but I wouldn't be ashamed of it if I was. But I don't know why you're asking that. I think you might be one of those people who thinks that's an insult. I mean, it's good that so many anti-Israelis come and show that they're homophobic because it demonstrates how many anti-Israelis are what many anti-Israelis are like. Somebody saying, I heard Greta Thunberg is back in Gaza. Is she done anything good or evil yet? I don't know. She's annoying. Jackie saying, Armin, which version of Islam is most accurate to the Quran and classical interpretation? Sunni or Shia? Which mazhab is it? Salafism? Jack, the problem with Islam is that it's flexible, so it could shapeshift. The danger of the Quran is that it has some parts that are very clear, but there are also some parts that are vague enough that you could dance around with and make whatever you want out of it. And that actually makes it more dangerous because it could shapeshift at different times for different purposes. And it increases its ability to survive for longer. So there is no version that is the most accurate. They are all a product of the Quran, and that's a flexibility of Islam. And again, a lot of people think, oh, it's flexible, so it means that it could be good. I say, no, it's flexible, so it could actually, that means that it's more dangerous because it could pretend that it's harmless at times. But that flexibility that vagueness in some parts of the Quran allows it to be flexible enough at times for it to pretend that it's not dangerous when it's being threatened. It's like a meme that has managed to survive so many different attacks. And it's important that we teach people that that flexibility is not, I mean, it's a feature for Islam, but from our perspective, that's like a bug. Ibrahim is saying that's literally the problem with Judaism. You're full of it, and you pronounce you're wrong. You're full of it, Ibrahim. I think you're an idiot because this is the Atheist Republic channel. I'm not defending Judaism as a religion, so I don't know who you're talking to. I think you're lost. I think you don't know where you are. Maybe look at the name of the channel before you make a fool out of yourself. If you want to attack Judaism, go talk to somebody who's defending Judaism as a religion. Sarah saying, I appreciate what you are doing for Iran and Israel. Oh, thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate you saying that. Anybody? Okay, so I can see that the people who are showing up on my Twitter space, they're Zionists themselves, especially this Piruz guy, probably, with the lion and sun flag. Let me follow the people. Anybody who comes to my Twitter space, I'm going to follow them. Maybe that will create an incentive for more people to come here. So I'm going to just follow all the people who are here. I already follow some of them. I don't follow you? Okay, I'll follow you as well. All right, there we go. But let me see. Does it show somebody raising their hand, or do I need to keep checking here? Okay, so I think, Alfred, you could see if anybody raises their hand. Somebody's saying, bro, you have white crust on your lips. I think it's toothpaste. I brushed my teeth before I came here. Don't forget to like the stream. Thank you, Amir, for saying that. Corona is open to interpretation. What the fuck does this even mean? You don't understand the meaning of that sentence, Samuel? Then I think you lack comprehension skills, I think. That's a very clear statement. I don't know what's confusing about that statement. There are parts of the Quran that are vague enough that are up for that you could, that are flexible enough, that are open to interpretation. Proud Zionist, yeah, same here. Somebody saying, can you define what you mean by wokeism? Is there wokeism in Israel? I'm sure there's wokeism everywhere. Well, the way I look at wokeism is basically a cultural version of Marxism, where instead of dividing society based on the haves and have not, based on economic metrics, you divide society in good and evil based on identities. Based on identities like skin color, country of origin, body, being able-bodied or not, gender, different types of identity. You just put some identities in the good category and some identities in the bad category, and you just basically do what Marxism was trying to do economically, but you do it culturally. That's what wokeism is. If somebody is asking, what is a Zionist? A Zionist is anybody, and again, you don't need to be a Jew, you don't need to believe in God or not, but anybody who believes that Israel has the right to exist and Israel has the right to defend itself becomes a Zionist. And that makes actually some people who think they're anti-Zionist, it makes them Zionists as well. Anybody who believes in the two-state solution or one-state solution, both of them are Zionists. because both of them, if you believe in the two-state solution, you believe in Israel existing as a country, so that makes you a Zionist. Wait, somebody's saying ICC, somebody's saying answer this. ICC statement: Mr. Netanyahu bears criminal responsibility as a co-perpetrator, as a civilian superior for the war crime of intentionally directing attacks against the civilian populations. Where's the proof that he was intentionally trying to destroy civilians? That's a ridiculous claim. Show me that when they were Israel, when it's defending itself against Hamas, the civilians who died in Gaza, Israel was actually trying to kill civilians. Show me the proof for that. Show me one single shred of evidence that Israel as a country's policy is to kill civilians in Gaza. You have zero proof for that. If you had any proof, you would come up and bring it up. Like, I provided a link to you to come. I gave you guys a link to come up and talk to me live on air. And like, look, everybody I'm seeing here is like a Zionist like myself. I don't want to, like everybody who's on the Twitter space right now, they're Zionists. Many of them are Iranian Zionists. Look at this. Like, I know 3 people here already who are Iranian Zionists just like me. So you guys are cowards. If you guys had any points, you would come up and talk to me. The link is pinned to the top. Or guys, if you want to find that, if you think like, oh, I cannot figure where, I don't know how to get in, just go to Twitter. Just go to Armin Navabi's Twitter. And then I just retweeted this Twitter's X space. Sorry, I keep saying Twitter. I mean X. Yeah, look, this is my account, @Armin Navabi. It's other than the pinned post on X, it's my latest tweet. You could just easily find it there. And it's also, the link is in the description. The link is pinned to the top. So you guys could come if you guys have any points against Israel, you could just come up and embarrass me in front of the whole world. But you don't have anything. You have nothing. Yeah, look, like there's 200 people here watching, and so many of them are anti-Israelis. Not a single one of them is coming up. Look, this guy is obviously also a Zionist, but very likely Zionist. Look at this. Everybody that's coming up is just like a fellow Zionist like me. Let me see. Has anybody raised their hand? Like, nope. Nobody, no anti-Zionist dare talk to me. They're cowards. Oh, somebody's saying something in chat. Somebody's saying, are you against ethno-nationalism? Yeah, and Israel is not an ethno-national. It's not ethno-nationalism because Israel is giving equal rights to non-Jewish citizens of Israel. So yes, I am against ethno-nationalism, and Israel is not an ethno-state, given that 20% of Israel is not Jew, and they have equal rights to the rest of the people of Israel. So what's your point? So you're saying not true. It's completely true. Well, actually, maybe you're right, because somebody's saying liar Jew. Okay. Anybody who calls me a liar Jew, you're against ethno states? You seem to be a racist yourself. Like, now you're saying liar, liar, liar. That's the only thing that makes what I'm saying not true is the fact that Arabs in Israel actually have more rights than the Jews. Arabs in Israel, because in Israel, secular Jewish people, like Jewish people who are not one of those ultra-Orthodox people, right? They are forced to serve in the army. But Arabs don't have to serve in the army. So if you want to call Israel apartheid or an ethno state, you could only mean it in the sense that Arabs have more rights in Israel than Jews, because Jews are forced to serve in the army and Arabs don't have to serve in the army. So they are more free. So that makes Arabs. So yeah, I'm actually against this policy in Israel because Israel is treating Arab citizens superior to Jewish Israelis. So yeah, Israel is an apartheid, but an apartheid in favor of Arabs. By the way, I'm kidding, guys. Israel is not an apartheid. But if it is an apartheid, then it's an apartheid against the Jews in favor of Arabs. That's what Israel is, because they have more rights. They have, yeah. You empty. You just keep saying liar. You have no points. You calling me a liar. You can't repeatedly calling me a liar doesn't make me one. Let me see. How would I see if anybody raises their hand? Nobody's raising that. There's no anti-Zios in the. There's so many anti-Zios in my my YouTube chat, but there's not a single one coming up to talk to me in space. The chat is filled with anti-Israelis. I should say anti-Jewish people, because most of I think these anti-Israelis are just anti-Jewish. Yeah, so look, somebody saying you animals. Okay, well, come up. Tell me why we're animals. Come on, look at the link. Come on, X Space, and talk to me. Somebody saying, "What's your take on India? India is a great country." Yeah, they're like angry wasps. Whoop says. Chat is filled with anti-Jew. Okay, Torah, I cannot read that because YouTube is going to think that I'm dehumanizing people. Amir saying, Armin, clearly anti-Semites don't understand internet links. Yeah, guys, the link is pinned to the top and it's in the description. And also, you could just come to my Twitter or my X, and you could see my latest post has that link in there.
Yo, hello?
Oh, somebody talking. Fantastic. Hi.
You can hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, how are you doing?
Good, good. Let me ask the chat, YouTube chat. You guys can hear Mark? Let me know in the chat. Go on, Mark.
Yeah, so I'm calling in. You said that Israel is an equal state.
Equal state?
Where are you getting that information exactly?
I said the laws of Israel gives equal rights to Jews and non-Jews.
All right, and so do they give equal rights to people who are both brown and white as well then?
Yeah, as long as you're a citizen. I mean,
have you seen the videos where
many Jews,
there's an Egyptian guy, and he tries to go into the bars and they don't let him, even though it's clearly open. They say it's not open.
Yeah, so you clearly don't understand what I'm saying. I'm talking about the laws. I didn't say Israel does not have racist people. Every country in the world has racist people. I'm talking about the laws of the country.
Where are you from?
Well, that's not relevant to the topic. And also, don't interrupt me again.
I'm just wondering, because everywhere has racist
people. Don't interrupt me. I'm responding to your question. You need to let me finish my point. Okay? So the example that you gave, okay, if true, is an example of Israel having some racist people against some darker skinned people, which I could find those people in every country. This is another example of holding Israel to a standard that we don't hold any other country, because we don't go, because we have racist people in Canada, we have racist people in the United States, we have racist people in Sweden. We don't become anti-Canadian because there are racist people in Canada. But all of a sudden, if we find racist people in Israel, we become anti-Israel. My statement was very specific. I said the laws in Israel give equal rights to citizens and to all citizens, including Jews and non-Jews.
Do Palestinians living in Israel have the right to travel freely?
By Palestinians, you mean Arabs?
Arabic people living inside of Israel, do they have the right to travel freely throughout Israel and Palestine? I'm wondering.
Who are the Arabs who are citizens of Israel?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Arabs who are citizens of Israel have more mobility rights than Jews, because the Jewish Israelis, they don't get to go to some places in so-called Palestine in the West Bank. So because I was in Israel, right? When I went to Israel, from Israel, I went to the West Bank, and my Jewish friends were not allowed to go in because of their safety issues, right? So every Arab who is a citizen of Israel
I'm surprised they let you back out, man.
What?
I said I'm surprised they let you back out. I mean, you said that they didn't let the Jewish people in, but they let you in. I mean, well, I don't get it. Why wouldn't they let the Jewish people in if it's equal?
Yeah, because the Jewish people are not safe in the West Bank because
They're not
because
safe.
because the West Bank is an apartheid and it's anti-Jewish. This is more about
Palestinians. Do you think Palestinians in the West Bank
I am
are
responding.
safe?
I'm responding to you, Mark. When you ask a question, are you here to just ask questions so you could hear your voice, or are you actually interested in my answers? Because I'm responding. Like
you
when you ask a
answered.
question,
You already answered.
No, I haven't. You keep cutting me mid-sentence.
All right, my
you
apologies.
do realize that? Yeah, it's okay. So when you talk about Palestinians, when you say Arab citizens of Israel, they're not Palestinians, okay? There's Israelis. They're Arab Israelis, and every Arab Israeli gets a Israeli passport, and with an Israeli passport, you have all the mobility rights than compared to every single other Israeli that is a citizen of Israel. But go on. What's your question?
Oh, I asked you, do you think Palestinians are safe in the West Bank? You said that it's not safe for Jews in the West Bank. Do you think it's safe for Palestinians in the West Bank?
The so-called Palestinians in the West Bank are not safe, but they're safer than the Jews in the West Bank, okay? And they're not safe because of the actions the Arab leaders have taken against Israel.
Okay, but I'm wondering, at this point, so in the West Bank,
you realize, Mark, you realize you changed the topic because we were talking about equality in Israel, and now you're talking about some place that is not Israel, outside of Israel. So
I'm talking about Palestine. You're right. So wait, you were saying so-called Palestinians. I'm wondering, before Israel was a state.
No. We cannot, Mark. We cannot move to another point. We haven't finished this first point that you brought up.
But there's so many points. There's so many points.
Yeah. So let's not just go from one point to another before we conclude one, right? Because the first issue that you brought up was whether Arabs in Israel have equal rights to Jews in Israel. Okay. Do you agree that they do? Based on the law, they do?
Based on the law, no, I don't think they do. See, at the end of the day, the laws were made to benefit the society that exists, not the one that was there before. Okay, and so the fact that there's even Palestinians in Israel still surprises me, because Israelis hate them so much. I'm surprised they didn't deport all of them. What I'm surprised is that
don't hate Israelis. They're not Palestinian. They're not Palestinian.
When you go to Jerusalem, which I'm wondering, to you, is Jerusalem in Israel or is it in Palestine?
Jerusalem is obviously in Israel, and let's do one point at a time. So the Arabs, you don't refer to the Arabs of Israel as Palestinian. They're Arabs of Israel. They're citizens of Israel, and the vast majority of them are proud of being. The Arabs of Israel are proud to be Israeli, and Israelis, the vast majority of Israelis, love having them as citizens. The Arabs of Israel serve in the military, and they serve Israel, and they're proud to serve Israel, and they defend their country. And there's nowhere in the Middle East better to be an Arab than in Israel. Every Arab, every Islamic country, the Arabs in Israel and the Muslims in Israel have more rights than the Arabs and Muslims of any other Arab country and Muslim country. The best place in the Middle East to be an Arab is in Israel.
I mean, you want to talk about switching points, but we can switch this point
we didn't switch points. We're focusing on one point. We're focusing on this point. The laws in Israel are not anti-Arab. In fact, they treat Arabs better than any other Arab country.
Yes. You said this before. So what do you think about forced conscription?
You disagreed with me. But give me the law. What you're saying that the Arabs in Israel do not enjoy equal rights compared to the Jews. Tell me how. Like, you keep asking me questions. Well, what about
It's pretty obvious that Israel restricts the travel of Israeli Arabs, whatever you're saying.
No, it
It's pretty
doesn't.
obvious
Show
that they
me.
restrict the travel of Israeli Arabs. I mean, at the end of the day, you want me to show you? You can look at any Palestinian area inside so-called Palestinian area inside the West Bank and see that they've chopped it up into hundreds of areas.
That's okay, Mark. I think
people
you're
are not allowed
confused.
to-
You're talking,
But
Mark.
no.
I think you're
We have to
confused.
talk about your point. We have to talk about your point, which you just made about the law, okay? And so you were
No.
talking about
We
how
haven't
Jews-
finished. We
no,
haven't
Jews
finished
are
this. You're
forced to
talking
be
about
in
the
the army,
mobility.
right?
No, Mark.
Jews
I
are
think you
forced to be in
completely
the army.
misunderstand. Mark, I think you completely misunderstand who Arab Israelis are, because you keep talking about the mobility of so-called Palestinians in the West Bank. You do realize that they're not Israeli. Okay, I'm talking about Arab Israelis, not Arabs who are not Israeli.
Of course. In your ideal world, they would be Israeli, though, would they not?
Yeah, but maybe many generations from now. We're talking about the world right now.
Many
Okay,
generations from now,
you
exactly.
made
And
a point, and
so
you
why
made
not
a point, and
why
you
not just assume
you
that they're
made a
already
point.
Israeli?
You made a point, and you have not yet backed it up. Show
Okay,
me
so I have a
the
point to make.
mobility,
I
the
have a point to
mobility
make. So
restrictions.
inside the West
Show
Bank,
me,
inside the
show
West
me the
Bank,
mobility restrictions. Show me the mobility restrictions of Israeli Arabs. Show me.
yes. So you said in a few generations, yeah. Basically
I'm talking
inside
about
the
now.
West Bank, right? Inside the West Bank, there is no government. There is no standing army.
There is.
Oh, where is there a West Bank standing army?
No. I responded to your first. You said there is no government. There is a government. It's called the Palestinian Authority.
The Palestinian Authority, of course. And so, what does it take to be considered a state in your eyes? Do you think West Bank is a state? Do you think it's a country?
No, it's not. It has a state. It's not a country.
So it's a state,
Having
but not a country.
It has a state, but having a state is not the only requirement. Is a necessary part of becoming a country, but it's not enough. There's many things that goes into becoming a nation state that could be recognized as a country. Having
So
a
West
state
Bank
is one
is
of
not
them.
a country. So who controls
Obviously
West
not.
Bank? Who's in charge? Who makes the laws of West Bank?
It's a mix, right? It's a mix of the Palestinian Authority and Israel.
Of
Depends
course. And
on
so
who's
then,
being.
therefore, you just said that Israel makes some of the laws inside of West Bank. Yes.
Yeah, because
would that not make them
under
Israeli
international
too?
law,
They're
under
Israeli
international
Arabs.
law. No, so let me tell. Okay, so we're changing the subject to West Bank. Okay, so have you given up on the making the argument on within Israel? So if you want to move to West Bank, I will be happy to move to the West Bank with you. Okay, but in Israel
I am
itself,
making the point that
yeah,
that
but
all
I
of
will move. I
Palestine
will no, I
is
will come.
controlled by Israel.
I will move to West Bank with you. Okay. However, let's finish the chapter of Israel first before we go to the West Bank. So we now
It's all the
see
same
that there
chapter,
was.
my brother.
No, it's not. It's a separate thing because we were talking about equal rights in Israel among citizens, regardless of them being Jewish or non-Jewish. You didn't provide me with a single evidence to show that non-Jewish citizens of Israel, for example, Arab Israelis, have less rights than Jewish Israelis. So now we could close this chapter. So that's one win for me. Let's go to the West Bank. Maybe you could win over here. Let's see in West Bank. You're saying in the West Bank, the laws, which is not Israel, okay, the laws that apply to the Arabs living there, they have been chosen by Israel, and that's unfair. That's the point that you're making, or if I'm misunderstanding it, correct me.
No. The point that I was making, which you agreed with, is that Israelis make the laws inside of West Bank, at least some of the laws. You agreed that they made some of the laws. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm trying to make is West Bank is not a state to you. Sorry, it's not a government to you. Or sorry, West Bank is not a country to you, right?
It's not a nation state.
It's not a country. It's not a nation
not a
state. And Israel controls, or at least makes, some of the laws. And so, are they citizens of no country? What is West Bank? They're not citizens of any country.
As of right now, they're not a citizen of any country. That's the thing that needs to be fixed, right?
And they're making the laws for the Israelis are making the laws for them to some degree.
Yeah, they have to under international law. When you're controlling an area, when you're occupying an area, you have the legal responsibility to provide some laws to have some. If you are an occupying force in an area,
So
then
then
under
I have to
international,
ask you.
under
You're talking
I'm
about
answering your
citizen.
question, Mark. I'm
Oh
answering your
yeah, of
question.
course,
Under
of course.
international law, you have to provide a legal framework for you to be managing that area. So that's what Israel is supposed to do under international law.
Exactly. Okay. And so I'm just wondering, you talk about the laws of Israel. You talk about, can you prove to me under the laws where Arabs are not as strong? There doesn't need to be laws because these aren't citizens of Israel. They control them from outside of Israel. I mean, I don't understand why you want to bring up the laws as if the laws apply to Israel. The laws do not
You
apply to
brought up the
Israel.
laws, Mark.
Hey,
You
now you're
brought up the laws.
interrupting
I'm
me. Now you're
responding.
interrupting me. So when it
Okay,
comes to
sorry.
the League of Nations,
Yeah.
or when it comes to the World Congress in general, you know what I'm talking about? The ICC, anything like that, Israel doesn't follow world conventions. They don't really care. And they also don't follow their own laws because they don't really care. You don't have to when you're Israel. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You sit here, talk about laws,
you shifted the point. Did we move on away from the West? So I think you realize that you have no points regarding the West Bank. So you moved on.
This is all the same conversation, my friend. I don't know why you keep moving on to new things.
So we're talking about the West Bank. You're saying that the laws that Israel has in the West Bank are unfair. You seem to have been trying to make the point that when Israel is having any laws for the West Bank, that is unfair. But then because I pointed to you that that's what they're supposed to do under international law, you're telling me that, oh, they don't care about international law. Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm telling you is that Israel doesn't have to follow laws inside of West Bank, because there are no laws. There are no country. They are in charge. Okay.
Well, they are. So I mean, that's the point. Okay, sorry.
No.
I thought you were.
Israeli law. You bring up Israeli law. You keep mentioning, oh, show me in the laws where it's legal. They don't have to follow the laws. That's the point.
Okay, Mark. I think you're confused a little bit. When I was talking about Israeli laws in Israel, okay, when it comes to West Bank, I was talking about international law. And if you're saying they don't have to follow international law, well, that's a point in my favor then, because Israel is following international law. So thank you. So you're saying Israel is following international laws even if they don't have to. So that's actually a point in favor of Israel.
Where are you from? Where are you from, Armin?
What is that relevant? I'm Iranian. I'm from Iran.
You're from Iran? Do you live in Iran?
No, I don't live in Iran. If I lived in Iran, I would be executed right now for defending Israel.
Okay, I mean, maybe, probably, but who knows?
No, not maybe.
So then, where you live somewhere in the Western world? I'm just wondering,
why does that matter?
At the end of the day, no, it matters, because at the end of the day, where you live is where the people around you. You're getting your information. You know, your friends. You have to understand that. You know, if you're from America or if you're from Canada, then it's normal for you to have these opinions. You know, I'm just wondering. Are you from Europe?
I had these opinions when I was still in Iran. There are so many Iranians watching from Iran. They have the same opinion. Iranians have.
But you said they'd be executed.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, if they were publicly taught. Okay, Mark, I think you're not following me. Okay, you can see the Iranians, for example, in my chat, who are supporting Israel. They're obviously not going to use their real names and their real pictures.
Yes, and they're on VPN. Yes, because they'll get executed.
Yeah, Mark,
so you're from Canada?
I know about Iran so much, so I don't. If you want to enter that zone,
of course, you definitely know more about it than me. I'm wondering. Yeah. So what's your favorite topic about Israel, Palestine to talk about?
I wanted to go back to what you think is unfair about Israel having some.
Okay, what do you think here? Okay, we'll talk about the laws then. We'll talk about the laws.
You filled it.
What do you think about the law of return?
The law of return, that's not a law.
No, but we can talk about it. What do you mean it's not a law? Is it not a law if people are able to move into a country?
You don't get.
That is a law.
You don't. For the so-called Palestinian people, they don't get to remain as refugees under the refugee category for generation after generation after generation. So that law of return does not apply. The law of return.
I was talking about. I was
Go on.
referring to the law of return, where people with a Jewish-born mother are allowed to return to Israel and live there freely. That was what I was referring to.
Oh yeah, that's Israel's way of defending Jews against anti-Jewish hatred around the world, which is something noble. I mean,
Okay,
other
and
countries have that.
so
So, for example, India has the law like that for Hindus and
of course,
Buddhists. Yeah.
of course. And so at the end of the day, what I was meaning to talk about when I come to this is, you want to protect Jews from anti-Semitism across the world, right? And so you allow them
From
to come
anti-Jewish hatred.
freely.
Yeah.
Yes, and so you allow them to come freely to Israel whenever they want. And so I'm wondering, then, bringing it back to the forced conscription of all Jews. So is it really protecting them if you're bringing them back and then you're forcing them to go into the military and go to war?
Well, it's a choice. You don't have to come back. You don't go and hunt them down and force them to come to
Well, of
Israel.
course, but you just said it's to
So
protect
you have
them.
to.
And so
Yeah,
is
but you could.
conscripting them
Yeah,
protecting them?
it's collective protection. So you get protected, but you also need to contribute in protecting others, right? And you don't have to make that decision. Nobody's forced to. This is an offer that you could say yes or no to. How is that unfair when you get
Can
to
you say yes or
decide?
no? If you're a Jewish person living inside of Israel, are you allowed to say no to the military? Can you?
If you're a
If you're
Jew, no,
perfectly
so
healthy?
see you were talking about return. So you see how you switch the topic. We're talking about Jews who are not Israelis who get to be Israeli because they're Jewish. So they get to decide that they don't want that.
Exactly, and they're returning to protect them. That was what the point is. This is up about protection.
But
You said that
so
it's safer there.
Israelis in the chat are saying you do get to say no. So let me see. I didn't know that. You
Israelis
can.
are saying you do get to say no, but you just told
I
me
don't
that they
know.
can't say no.
Yeah, I thought they can say no, but
I
that's
mean, I
something
don't
that
know
other
either. I'm not
countries.
from Israel.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I that's something that other countries have as well. So if you want to,
Of
I mean,
course, South
if you
Korea
just
also has forced conscription, but they
yeah,
don't try to frame it as protecting them when they move there. They're not asking South
no, they
Koreans to
do
come
frame
back
it
to
as
protect
protecting
them.
them. Yeah, obviously, actually, South
No,
Korea
no,
is a
but
great example.
they're not
Countries who
asking
are
South
under
Koreans.
countries who are under extreme level of threat, they usually have this. And here's the thing, Mark. If you disagree with this policy, okay, I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm just not going to become anti-Israeli because of it, just in the same way that I'm not anti-South Korea because of South Korea having this law. So that's a discussion that we could have, whether maybe this is a good policy or bad policy. I think a lot of people would make the argument that it makes sense for this is exactly why South Korea has it as well. South Korea is under a lot of threat from North Korea, so they have that policy, and Israel has a lot of threat, is surrounded by a lot of threat around us, so they have that
Wait,
policy as well. But that's a topic that I'm not even interested in having, because I'm not gonna. I don't. Somebody could have a fair point that this is not a good policy. I don't know, Ivan. But my point is that why would somebody be anti-Israel? I think a lot of people could have a good faith disagreement with this policy. Some people could have a defend it logically. Some people could be against it logically. But even the people who are against it logically, maybe they are very pro-Israel and they just think that this law should not be there. So this law does not have to make you anti-Israel. I mean, I've never seen anybody say I'm anti-South Korea as a country because they have this law. So why
can
the
I get a
double
word in
standard
then
for Israel?
about South Korea?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, this is about safety to me, okay? They're in the military to protect the country, protect the people. The last military-related death from South Korea, which is also a forced conscription state, so everybody, all the kids, they're all going into the military. The last military-related death in combat was in the Korean War, which was in the 60s. The last Israeli military death was probably this morning. And so at the end of the day, yeah, they're the same in the words of conscription, yes. Both has sending all of their children to the military, but only one of them is sending them to war.
Yeah, somebody in the chat is saying that if you move to Israel after the age 21, you don't have to enlist in the army. So I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't looked into this. But again, I don't understand even what this point is. You could disagree with
This
this.
point is making that Israel is sending soldiers to war on a daily basis. You're saying that people are moving to Israel to protect themselves, but it sounds like
So
you
you're
moved to
saying
Israel
so
and
you're
your
saying
children
Israel.
are being forced to go to war.
So you're saying Israel is anti-Jewish.
No, I'm
So
saying
if
that Israel is pro-war. I'm saying that if you move to Israel, which you're saying, oh, people should move to
the
Israel to
war,
protect
Israel is
themselves.
not
In
pro-war. Israel
reality,
is
you're
anti.
moving there and your children will be going to war. That's what it
The
sounds like
war
to me.
has. This is a war that has been forced upon Israel. This is not Israel's choice to have this war, and Israel needs to do this to defend itself. So Israel is not pro-war. Israel is the most anti-war country in the whole world because no other country's existence is being threatened with war more than Israel. Not its borders, not its security, but its entire existence. So Israel is very motivated into ending wars and stopping wars from happening, given that it's constantly being threatened with annihilation. So there's no country in the world that is as anti-war as Israel.
Someone in
And
chat is
all
saying Mark has Jew envy. I'm a Jewish person who maybe I want to move to Israel. Okay, and so I'm responding to the chat here because they say, oh, maybe I want to move to Israel. It looks like I don't want to move to Israel. It looks unsafe. It looks like if I had a family there, they might die. That's what I'm trying to say. It looks like it's a lot safer for me to stay at home.
It's unsafe because of all the anti-Jewish people around the world who want to annihilate Jews. But it's first of all, it's not. It's actually safer than most places for Jews.
I mean, I agree with you. It probably is safer for Jews there than a lot of other places, sure. But at the end of the day, it's still heavily militarized, and there's still forced conscription, which is wrong.
It needs to be militarized because it's trying to defend itself.
Okay, and so preemptive striking is defense to you, of course, I would have to guess.
Israel never preempted. Israel has always responded to threats. Other people.
Okay,
it has always been
country of Iran. That was a threat. Yes, of course, it was a threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was not a preemptive attack. What was it then?
No, it was. I mean, it wasn't preemptive in the sense that the Islamic Republic has promised to annihilate Israel since 1979, which is a declaration of war against Israel. So the war against Israel from the Islamic Republic started more than 40 years ago, and they started it. Israel had no intention of starting a war with the Islamic Republic. The Islamic Republic, since day one, said that we are here to basically annihilate Israel, which is a standard declaration of war. So the war Israel was already in a war that the Islamic Republic began with Israel more than 40 years ago.
Okay, well, that's the same point that they
when
use.
I grew up half of my life in Iran. I remember in school we were always told that one day we're going to wipe Israel off the map completely. Every single Israeli
what years
will
did
be
you grow up, if you mind me asking, in Iran? I'm just wondering.
1983. From 1983 all the way to 20. Let me see, 2020, 2021, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Just wondering. All right. Well, I mean, I've never been to Iran.
Yeah, and I remember constantly in school. I remember constantly in school and TV and the newspaper always talking about how Israel is the little Satan and the United States is the big Satan, and one day we will wipe out the little Satan so that we could go and wipe out the big Satan. So that's the declaration of war.
As an American, I can't say that it isn't Satan sometimes. You know, there's Satan everything, is there not? Nothing can be perfect.
No, America is not Satan. America is the reason why we have this much stability right now in the world. The level of progress and growth that we have in the world is because of the US's military and as a stabilizing force for the whole world. The whole world is lucky to have United States and the United States Army providing this much security all around the world. Everybody should be thanking the United States.
As an American, I grew up believing that same thing, but as time goes on, you know, you start to think that the corruption inside of all countries is pretty bad. I mean, you want to talk about Iran, you want to talk about America as not being Satan. What do you think about the Israeli predator who was just released from Nevada and allowed to fly back after being found to be chatting with a 15-year-old.
Yeah, every country has evil people in them. I don't judge entire countries based on the evil individuals
I
within the
agree, but
country.
let me finish my point here by saying that is it not the country which is evil to let him go with no repercussion?
Well, I mean, every time I looked into a story like this, people misrepresented what was happening, and I have to look into this. What was this guy's name? I could look into this.
Alexander something.
There are a lot of Alexanders around the world.
Let's see here. Give me one moment. But at the end of the day, when it comes to something like this, Alexandrovich, his name was Alexandrovich. Anyways, when it comes to something like this, what I'm saying is, you say America isn't Satan. We just found somebody who is found to be a child predator inside our own country, and we have allowed him to go free with no repercussions. Is that not bad if you're allowing your children to be molested? I mean, sure, he didn't molest any children, but clearly he showed intentions to. And we're just going to allow him to go free?
Well, I don't know what that case is like, but let me see. While I look into this, again, every single country in the world has examples of bad court cases. We don't condemn the entire country for it. Okay,
there was no court case. There was no court case, my friend. There was no court case. He was allowed to go free.
Let me see. Is this Alexander Vinnik, the Russian cyber criminal, often called as Mr. Bitcoin, who has?
Let me send you his exact name.
His name send me his right now, because I think I got someone else.
Artyom Alexandrovich.
Can you send it to me? I don't know how to spell.
Executive director. I don't know how to do that on this. He is the executive director of the Israeli National Cyber Directorate.
Oh.
Let's see. 2025 arrest in Nevada. I'll read it off for you. In 2025, he was arrested along with 7 others in Nevada as a part of a sting operation targeting child sex predators. He faces potential charges relating to this matter. He was granted a $10,000 bail and subsequently allowed to return to Israel despite his lack of diplomatic immunity.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask people in the chat to give me his name. Guys, people in the chat, can you write down his name for me? Because I don't know how to spell this guy's name. Yasha is saying he was allowed to fly back to Israel just like any foreign national would be in that context. Okay, that's a.
Not any foreign national would be allowed to. There's something.
Can you give me the name? Can somebody write the name? Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, Tom. I got somebody else.
It's not natural for someone to be able to leave the country after committing a felony. To anyone out there who is not American, clearly, I will explain to you that you're not allowed to leave the country after committing a felony unless you have some connections or a lot of money.
Okay, let me see if I could figure this out.
He skipped his 27th of August 2025 court hearing despite being required to make every court appearance. He skipped it.
Okay, so he was arrested in Cyprus, right? In 2021?
Cyprus? No, Nevada. Well, maybe he's arrested in Cyprus. I'm not sure.
Guys, was he arrested in Cyprus? Or am I missing something?
People are saying bullshit talking point. I don't understand how it's a bullshit talking point. I was bringing up how America is big Satan, and I was agreeing with the Iranian government in that sense because America has done a lot of bad things. And as an American, I am proud of my country, but I can't say that everything my country is doing is perfect. You're sitting here praising Israel, but you can't say one bad thing about it. Why is that?
Oh, I can. I didn't say any country is ever. I didn't say it's perfect. When did I say it's perfect?
You would strategically add some bad things. I mean, Israel's done plenty of bad things, but you refuse to mention any of them.
You didn't ask me. Why would I just randomly say?
I've been asking you this whole time.
You never said one time whether is there anything negative about Israel. You never said one time. Okay, let me actually look at this case. So yes, apparently he was arrested in Cyprus in 2021 after international warrants were issued. He fought extradition, but Cyprus courts approved it, and he was sent back to Israel in 2023. In Israel, he faced trial. The legal process continued, and he wasn't released just because of nationality. Media reports show he was denied bail several times because of risk of flight. He was arrested on charges of sexual assault against minors. Israeli police accuse him of multiple cases of sexual abuse. Okay, I don't see any problem with this case. What the hell is wrong?
You should bring some people from your chat in here. They're yapping a lot. They're calling me a Muslim.
The link is open.
You are a Muslim.
Oh, there are
is
many
there something
people
wrong
who
with being Muslim?
Yes, obviously. Well, let me see. Obviously, but let me see.
Is there something wrong with being Arab?
No, obviously not. What, you thought you could?
I mean, it's a pretty good question for any Israeli, honestly. Is there something wrong with being Arab?
I think most would say yes.
Israel gives full rights to Arabs and is proud of its Arab citizens, and the Arab citizens of Israel, Israelis are so proud of them, especially the ones who fight in the IDF, and especially the Arabs who fight in the IDF. They do so even though they don't have to, because they're so proud of their country. And
the
Israelis
way you
love
talk
them.
About this reminds me so much of Black people fighting for the Union in the American Civil War. It's really funny.
Okay, so you have no points then. Okay.
You say what?
So you have no points, like, oh, it's like now you're just making this is the type of points people make.
I'm just mentioning.
This is the type of these are the types of things people say.
What did you just say to me? You just said that Israelis are proud of Arabs in the army. I don't care if they're proud of Arabs in the army. Obviously they are. Like, why would they not be proud of Arabs in the army?
They're proud of many of their Arab citizens.
What does this have to do with anything? You're just saying that just because you wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, because no, it's not, because it's in response. It's a direct response to what you just said. You said Israelis are anti-Arab, and I just told you that it's wrong. I said many Israelis love their Arab citizens. They constantly point to me that many of their doctors are Arab. Many of the people in their education are Arabs. Israel is a country where it had an Arab judge that gives a prison sentence to 2 former Israeli prime ministers. Did you know that? 2 former, the Supreme Court in Israel, the highest court in the land, the judges were Arab, and the Arab judge in the highest court in in Israel gave prison sentences to Jewish ex-prime ministers in Israel. So
I don't understand why you're bringing this up. Am I supposed to be impressed? That's perfectly normal. 20%
no, this is not Arab. For you. Obviously. No, you're not supposed. You're not supposed to be impressed, because you're obviously are not going to change your mind about anything. You're pretty determined.
No, I will change my mind.
I'm saying this for the sake of the audience.
You're pointing to the token Arab. You're pointing to the token Arab on the Supreme Court, trying to tell me, "Oh, look how good we are. Look, see, we have one of them."
You don't even know what token Arab means. Have 20% of 20% of Israel having equal rights to the rest of the country. That's the very opposite of them being token. And then Arabs in Israel having the highest levels of education and having access to university and the highest paying jobs in Israel, that doesn't make them token. Token, I think you don't know what the word token means. Token is a few examples that you're trying to use to negate. Token is something. Token is just a few people that you use as an example to try to distract people from a rule. But I'm telling you that the rule is actually against your point. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not a token. That's an actual rule. That's the trend.
All right. So I mean, let's just get to the meat and bones of the conversation, right? Which is Gaza. And so, I mean, what do you have to say about the current crisis going on there? Do you think it's a crisis?
Yes, absolutely a crisis. Started by the Islamic Republic and Hamas.
Okay, I mean, you could say that, yeah. It did. The most recent war was started by them. You're right. I mean, what
every
about
every single war that Israel has been involved in has been started by the enemies of Israel. Israel never started a war. Every single one of them has been started by the enemies of Israel.
Okay, so when Israel was first founded, right? Mandatory Palestine, right? It was Palestine. You keep saying, I just want to clear the air about what you call Palestine. So you put it in quotations all the time. What is Palestine to you?
Palestine is the name of a terroristic movement against the Jews.
Okay, but what about when it was called Palestine before the Jews were there?
What was
before
called
the
what was
Israelis
called
were
the
there?
Palestine? What was
Mandatory
called Palestine?
British mandatory Palestine.
You're talking about the British Mandate.
Yeah, Palestine. That's what they called it.
Okay, that was the name of the mandate. Yeah, that was a. Yeah, so you're talking. Okay, so when I say when I refuse to use the name Palestine, I refuse to use it as the name of a country, or recognize the identity. I'm obviously aware enough to know that the British, Westerners in general, call that land Palestine. Palestine is a Western name started by the Roman Empire. It has always been a far Western name applied to a Middle Eastern, to that area. It's a foreign name. It's a Western name. It came from Romans, and it was used by the Westerners as well. It was used by the British because they use Western names foreign to that land. I mean, the name is so foreign to that land that the Arabs cannot even pronounce it because they don't even have the sound pe in their language, right? That's why they can't call it Palestine. They have to call it Palestine because they don't have any letters for the pe sound. That's how foreign the name is to that land.
Okay, and you're right. That is true. I mean, it is a foreign name, just like the way that we named America, America. It's not named after the people that lived there originally.
I'm not talking about the historic
what would you
name.
Refer to? What would you refer to as the people who live there? The Arabs that live there. You just call them Arabs?
No, I call them Gazans for the people of Gaza, and for the people of West Bank, I call them the people of the West Bank.
Okay, all right. And so for the Gazans who live in Gaza now in 2025. I mean, what is the best course of action for them? Do you think they should all leave?
I don't think you can move 2 million people out of a location. I mean, that sounds like either an impossible task or a task that will cause a lot of death and destruction.
Kind of like what's going on right now, right?
No, way more than that. Way more than that.
More.
Like, yeah, like for example,
how much more of Gaza could be destroyed?
I'm talking about people dying, and if you look at, for example, the Great Migration between India and Pakistan, then you could see those numbers. The numbers that we're talking.
You kept on saying how I was changing the points. Why are we talking about India and Pakistan? We're not talking about.
No. I'm specifically answering why I think the numbers would be a lot more. So I'm using my reference.
Okay, all right, and so. What are you referencing exactly? I mean, I'm asking you what.
I'm referencing the fact that historically, when you try to move that many people from one location to another location, the results could be catastrophic. I don't know. Maybe modern times could be different. I don't know. I do think that they need to be given a choice to leave, though. I think that we need to open the border between Gaza and Egypt finally, and at least give the Gazans who want to leave the choice to leave. I think a lot of people say that, oh, this is an open air prison, and every time you tell people like, okay, well then let's open it and see who wants to leave, people are like, oh, you're ethnically cleansing people, and like you cannot. So it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you keep them in there, you're like, this is an open air prison. But if you advocate for like, okay, maybe let's open the border and see who wants to leave, you're like, oh, you're just trying to ethnically cleanse the people out of there. So there's no winning for like whatever Israel does, it gets condemned.
Okay, and so you compared it directly to Pakistan and India, and so when it came to Pakistan
not just Pakistan and India, I'm just saying historically. It seems like when you try to move millions of people from one place to another, it ends up causing a lot of, it ends up being a catastrophe. So I don't know. Maybe this time it could be different. Yeah. Okay.
And so what I'm asking you is, I mean, you made the direct comparison between Gaza and Israel and Pakistan and India. Yeah, you made that comparison. The point that I want to make from there is,
I'm not talking. This is not about Pakistan and India necessarily. I'm just talking about mass migration of a large number of people. Okay, that's
Okay,
all.
but you mentioned Pakistan and India. I didn't, and so I need to mention and add a little bit of context for everybody listening. When it comes to Pakistan and India, there was two different places for them to go. You know, if you were Muslim, you went to Pakistan. If you were Hindi, or you went to India, right? And now compare this to Israel, Gaza, which you just did. If you're Jewish, Israeli, you go to Israel. If you're Muslim, Arab, you go where? You don't go to Gaza. You don't go to Palestine. You go to Egypt or Jordan or Lebanon, whoever might let you in, right?
Sorry, what was your point? I was trying to let some other people come up. Can you
Want me
make
to
that
say it
point
all
again? Just if you could make it. Sorry, I was just looking at
So
who's
you
requesting to
said
come up.
Pakistan. You said Pakistan, India. I didn't say Pakistan, India. You mentioned Pakistan, India. In Pakistan, India, the mass migration, there was a designation. Both people had a place to go. Muslims went to Pakistan. Hindi, they went to India, right? And now you're talking about a mass migration of Gazans. Where do they don't have a place to go? Okay, the Gaza was the place to go. They already got mass migrated to Gaza, and now they're being told that they might have to leave Gaza. There is no, you can't compare this to Pakistan, India, because
why are you even telling this to me? I'm not in favor of all of them leaving Gaza. So why are you even making this point to me?
You mentioned Pakistan, India, bro.
As a way to make the point that as a way. Okay, so Mark, I think you don't understand what I'm saying.
As a way to make a point against mass migration. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. So why are you then why are you telling me that they can't leave? Obviously, I am saying that they can't.
How many mass migrations have we had in Israel since its founding? Can you tell me that?
We have the Nakba, which was forced upon the Arabs in that area. There's two. Which was forced upon the Arabs in that area because of the Arab leaders decided to attack Israel. So this was something that the Arab leaders did to the Arab people. And then we also have the mass migration of Jews from the other countries in the Middle East because of the attacks on them in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Iran, in Yemen. So many Jews in the Middle East, right? Half of the Jews of Israel don't come from Europe. They have a lot of them come from Russia, and a lot of them come from the Middle East, right? Half of them come from the Mizrahi Jews come from the Middle East, and that was a mass migration that was forced upon the Jews because of the Islamic anti-Jewish hunting of the Jews in all of these Islamic countries, which forced them to leave this area and come to Israel.
Yeah. Exactly. So what you just said was there's been a lot, right? There's been a lot of mass migrations of both Jewish people and Muslim people inside Israel, right?
Yeah, and all of them has been ugly and full of hardship, right?
Exactly. So why is it so hard to believe that there'll be another one? Do you think it's hard to believe there'll be another one?
I didn't say. Okay, so hold on. Other people want to speak. Okay, but let me just make this point. I did. Uncle Def,
can I jump in? Can I just jump in quickly?
Yeah, let me just say one sentence. I didn't say it won't happen. I just said that I don't know if it's a good idea because it will cause a lot of hardship. But go on, jump in.
Yeah, sorry, I'm listening for a while. So I would like to know. Earlier, you were saying that. Sorry, Rajib, I can't really hear anything.
Rajib, can you mute your mic?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you mute?
I unmuted myself. Can you hear me now?
Thank you. No. Yeah. I'm trying to say something. If you can mute your thing, because I'm hearing my feedback on your end.
So you want to mute? Are you saying you should mute or what?
No, I'm about to say something. If it's okay with you, can you just mute temporarily? Okay, great. Okay. So my question, Armin, is earlier on you said. I mean, let me just preface all this by saying, in this conversation, I'm generally agreeing with Mark. And so hopefully that's a good thing because you want people to debate you and not just back your points, right? You want to be intellectually challenged. And historically, let's say I've followed your work for quite a bit, and I think we come from similar backgrounds. I'm not Persian, I'm an Arab, but I'm also an ex-Muslim. And I also understand the dangers of Islam, the dangers of the likes of Hamas, the Islamic Republic of Iran, all that stuff, totally understand it. But at the same time, I'm coming at it as well from an atheistic viewpoint. And when you're talking about being a Zionist, first of all, my first point is this is it tends to lend itself into a religious motivation, right? A religious motivation. And I understand the point, and the counter argument is going to be, well, Jews need to protect themselves because of what happened in World War II, etc. But what I wanted to go back to was, you were saying you have criticisms of Israel, and you know, just because you weren't asked about it, that's why you didn't offer them up. But I'd like to go back to that point and ask you what your criticisms of Israel are historically, or, to be honest, even better, if we can talk about this current period since October 7.
Okay, so first of all, regarding your first point regarding this being a religious thing, Zionism was started with as a very secular movement, and the founder of Zionism himself was non-religious and very secular. And the first people who stood up against Zionism were religious Jews, and they were against them for these people being non-religious secularists, and also because they thought you can't have Israel as a country until the Messiah comes back. And then eventually, after World War II, where Zionism was very successful, that was the time where many religious Jews started jumping on the bandwagon. And now Zionism has so many different versions of it. Some of them are religious, some of them are not religious. But just like nationalism, that could have religious argument and non-religious arguments, Zionism has now many different versions, and many of them have nothing to do with religion. But originally, it was not religious at all.
Follow up quickly there. Go on to the point. Can I follow up quickly there? How would you identify yourself as a Zionist? What does it mean to you? What is the title that you embrace? What do you believe? Enough to call yourself a Zionist?
So I went to Israel and I talked to many Zionists about what Zionism is. And this is why I come up with this. I will tell you the definition. I will tell you how I decided that this is the definition. Every two Zionists in Israel I talked to, I got 3 different definitions of what Zionism is and what's it's about. So Israel is a very diverse country with so many different views. So there seems to be a lot of disagreements on this. But what I noticed is that they all had something in common, even though there were so many disagreements. But there was 2 things about it that made them all the same. 2 core beliefs. One of them, that Israel has the right to exist as a country, and Israel has the right to defend itself. So given that that was the common denominator between all of them, that by definition becomes a definition, given that everything else they seem to be disagreeing on. So based on that, anybody who believes that Israel has the right to be a country and as a country has the right to defend itself is a Zionist.
Okay, so on that particular point, I don't think that you're going to find a lot of people who would disagree with you, but I think you might find a lot of people who might disagree with the definition, but not the fact that they don't believe it themselves. I mean, I would say that I kind of believe, well, okay, I'm personally for a one-state solution. I don't mind a 2-state solution, but I just think, because I don't believe in religions, I don't think anybody should be setting a state based on a religion being the official state of blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? So that's my position on Israel. And if you're saying it should have the right to exist and it should have the right to defend itself, well, every nation has the right to defend itself. So that's a no-brainer. And it has the right to exist in what form? Does it have the right to exist as a Jewish supremacist state? If that's the case, then of course not, in my opinion. Does it have the right to exist where it can be a safe land for Jews and non-Jews, where everybody is treated very equally? And then that I would sign up to, and I think even Mark would sign up to. I don't see a problem there. So it's just a matter of
So you're saying that it's obvious that Israel gets to exist as a country. I mean, to you and me, it's obvious. To many people around the world, it's not that obvious. Israel's existence is challenged by more people around the world than any other country. And if you say like, oh, well, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, I agree. That's why being a Zionist to me is a no-brainer, right? But you say
that's what I'm saying is this debate doesn't include them. Like, we don't have a Hamas representative here, so it's kind of pointless talking about Israel's existence or the right to exist. Just my opinion is, what is it? So do you know what I mean? Like, if we agree on something, we can just move on.
Yeah, okay. No, I wasn't saying that to push back against your point. I was just saying that for other people to. Yeah, but so
Sure.
let's move on to the second point, right? So yeah,
Yes.
I don't want Israel. I don't want Israel to be a Jewish supremacist state, and I'm so glad that it's not. Israel, because for it to be a Jewish supremacist state, you need to have laws in this under that state, which gives you more rights and freedoms to Jews than non-Jews. If anything, one of my criticisms for Israel is that if it's a supremacist country, it's an Arab supremacist country because Arabs in Israel have more freedoms than average Jews in Israel. Okay, I mean, I'm not actually serious about calling it an Arab supremacist, but I'm saying that if it was a supremacist country, it's Arabs seem to be superior because they have more freedoms than compared to the Jews, right? But when it comes to the laws, it's definitely not a Jewish supremacist. And another criticism I do have for Israel is the involvement of religion in the government, both Islamic and Jewish. Because one thing that when I went to Tel Aviv, that I saw that I didn't like was that I saw Sharia courts in Tel Aviv funded by the government. In Tel Aviv, there are Sharia courts, Islamic Sharia courts that are government, that they are tax, like Jewish people's tax money goes to funding Sharia courts. So as a secularist myself, as somebody who's a secularist myself, I don't like that. So that's one criticism I have for Israel. I think there's
I would obviously agree with that, as I'm also a secularist, and I don't want involvement of religion in government. So are these the 2 points, the main 2 points where you oppose Israel or criticize?
No, I do. I mean, I love Israel as a country, okay, but obviously every country has some things that could improve. The level of secularism in Israel is, in many areas, could be improved. For example, in the education system, I think a lot of ultra orthodox, like really fanatic Jews have found ways to get more involved into poisoning the minds of the secularist Israelis, secular Jew Israelis. They have found sneaky ways to try to brainwash the children, and even some religious people are against that, which I appreciate. Like we have religious Jews who are secularists, right? You don't have to be an atheist to be a secularist, right? So I appreciate Muslims and Christians and Jews who are secular minded. But so there are 3 areas that religious people in Israel are trying to infiltrate. One is the school system, the other one is the army, and the other part is the politics. And I really appreciate the secular activists in Israel trying to push back against that. But right now, their involvement is more than I like, right? And this is why when I went to Tel Aviv, I met with the secular Israeli secular activists trying to push back against that.
Okay.
Also,
so just a quick follow-up.
I also agree with a lot of Israelis regarding the current government's attempt to. I know some Israelis would disagree with me on this, but I really think that the wall between the judiciary branch and the executive branch is the legislative branch and the judiciary branch. The wall between those branches are very important to maintain, and I think the current government is trying to remove that wall. And I think that I support the Israelis who push back against the removal of that wall. So that's, I mean, I could go on and on and on actually. So
I wanted to visit one quick point. So obviously you're talking about certain things where the religious, let's say the religious right in Israel has power that you're not comfortable with personally, because you want a fully secular state. So, for example, we can bring one of those laws into highlight. Highlight one of those laws is the lack of there's obviously a law that's currently being drafted, written up, discussed, which is going to try and end the, let's say, the ban on, or not ban, but the exemption that some Jews would have with serving in.
Sorry, you got roboty for a second. Can you repeat that last part?
So as you know, there's Hasidic Jews. There are laws protecting. At the minute, there are laws providing exemptions for Hasidic Jews
Yes.
not to serve in the military and do
Oh,
their
I hate that law.
do their
I hate that.
yes
I hate that.
yes yeah,
Okay.
and as you should as a secular person.
And as many
but-
of the Israelis in my YouTube live chat also hate as well.
Yes, but what I was saying is this is a law that clearly lends itself slightly to a Jewish influenced state. So the way the politics is set up is sometimes beneficial to people based on the fact of their religious background.
Yeah, that's a
Or the
horrible
degree
law.
of
But can you also mention that the exemptions are more in favor of Arabs than Jews? Do you know that, right?
I understand that.
That-
I understand that.
So,
Yes.
so,
No,
so,
no,
so if you compare, let's.
understand.
I mean, I agree with you. Let me agree with you. Let me agree with you. Okay. So I am against that law, but that's obviously not a pro-Jewish law, given that basically the situation in Israel is that some Jews don't get to not serve in the military, but all Arabs
Yes.
get to not serve in the military. So now that I agree with you, and you think that's unfair that these people don't get to not serve in the military, would you also agree with me that it's unfair to other Jews in Israel that Arabs don't have to serve in the military? Do you agree with that?
So let me agree with you on one thing. In a very quick context, a yes or no answer, I would say yes, I agree. However, my personal opinion is always been against mandatory drafting. So I don't think anybody should be drafted compulsory. Drafting into the army should be a compulsory.
I would agree with you in principle, but in practice, some countries wouldn't be able to exist if they don't have that. So we also have to think about the practicality of it. Like these all sound good on paper, but if you existing as a people is priority above all else. So these might sound good to talk about, but at the same time, we need to understand.
But I think you're correct. You're correct in the fact that some countries would require this because there might be a threatened small population and all this. However, I think wealthier countries, which Israel should be considered one of the wealthier countries, especially for its position in the region, the likes of Israel, Saudi, Qatar, UAE, not having to have mandatory, you can always entice people through paying well.
Israel is not wealthy enough to be able to defend itself against all the hostility that it's surrounded by.
That's fine. Right? Let's I'll just want to move on to the next point if I can, because it's a more important point. So in your criticisms, I know absent.
But by the way, can you keep an eye on my like both you and Mark? Can you guys keep an eye on my future spaces, because it's good that we have disagreements here. Okay, but go on, make your last point, and let me see after you. I'm going to see what Uncle Def has to say. I think, or somebody else. Go on, make your. Yeah.
So my point was in your criticisms of Israel, it seemed to be somewhat lacking of a criticism in terms of the use of force since October 7 to this day, right? So that kind of implies to me that you're okay with the level of force used by Israel against the Palestinians in Gaza, and that you.
I'm not actually. I think they should. I'm not. I think they should have used more force.
You think should be more? Okay. So when you think they should have used more force, what exactly would you have suggested? Let's say you were Netanyahu and you were able to use more force. What would you do beyond what's already been done? Sorry, Armin, that you think keeps you a decent human being who values all human life? Because I think that you think that of yourself, correct? I'm assuming you think that of yourself, that you are a decent human being.
I do value human life. The thing is that sometimes some human lives have to be taken for the sake of more human lives being saved. You agree with that?
Okay. No, and not to that simplistic portrayal, because I don't think any of that applies here. I don't think that you need to take more than 60,000 lives in Gaza to save 70,000 Israeli lives.
Didn't take their lives. Israel didn't take their lives. Israel has done more than any other country to try to reduce civilian casualties, Hamas was using them as a way to. Hamas is the murderer of every single one of the civilians in Gaza.
Okay. So when you make those claims that Israel has done more to reduce the likelihood of civilian casualties, how is this information valid in your mind, given the level of destruction we've seen in Gaza and the level of, the percentage of innocent people?
Destruction or human lives? You need to focus on one. Are you talking about the destruction or number of people dying?
Well, I mean, let's talk about number of people dying, but destruction also falls into it.
But these are two different points. If we're talking about number of people dying, then the level of destruction in Gaza is another point that we need to evaluate in a different argument, right? If we're talking about the number of people dying, it's really easy to defend Israel. It's really easy to defend Israel.
Go on.
Okay, so first of all, what you have to do is look at the relative. Okay, so when you're looking at Gaza, you have the highest population, second highest population density in the world, half of them being children, right? And then Israel is fighting an army that doesn't wear a uniform on purpose, unless when they are trying to do propaganda. That's the only time when they find their uniform, right? And when you don't wear your uniform in battle, that's there's a reason. I mean, they have shown that they have uniforms. They use it when they're doing their propaganda. But when you don't use your uniform, when you don't wear your uniform, that's not an accident. That's basically that's a decision you made to make your enemy not be able to tell the difference between a combatant and a civilian. And if you do that, that means Hamas knows what I know. Okay, so when Hamas does that, when Hamas doesn't wear a uniform, it understands that Israel cares about the civilians. Because if it didn't, then that strategy would not work. What would be the point of that strategy if Israel didn't care about the civilians? Also, we have, beyond reasonable doubt, we know that Hamas uses human shields. Let me actually answer your question, and then you could get it right. So Israel is fighting in an area where the population density is the second highest in the world. Your enemy uses human shields, and your enemy on purpose doesn't wear uniforms, right? And then yet Israel has managed to get the civilian to combatant ratio of casualties almost close to 1-to-1. And if you look at when other modern wars, the average of civilian to combatant ratio is between 5-to-1 to 3-to-1. So, for example, when United States was fighting ISIS, their ratio was, much higher than 1-to-1. They actually killed way more civilians compared to combatants than what Israel is doing in Gaza. So, given that Israel and they had a much more favorable environment. So, given that Israel in the most difficult place in the world to avoid civilians has managed to get the lowest ratio. And again, by the way, that ratio gets to 9-to-1, I think, when you average urban warfare. And Israel managed to do 1-to-1. You don't get those numbers by accident. You don't Israel was like, oh, we were trying to kill civilians, but oopsie, we managed to somehow miss so many of them that we got to a ratio of 1-to-1. I mean, if you go look at all of the measures that Israel takes when it comes to warning the people, when it comes to avoiding civilians, it's beyond what international law requires. And it shows that the numbers show that they're working. You don't get higher numbers than U.S. Army unless you're really, really trying to avoid civilian casualties. You don't get these numbers don't come up by accident.
Can I respond?
Yes, go on.
Okay, so the first point you were saying is about there's 2 points I want to respond to: the ratio of 1-to-1, plus the fact that you said, given the fact that Hamas wears civilian clothing or doesn't wear their military fatigue whilst engaging in combat against the Israeli forces, this means that they themselves understand that the Israelis are trying to minimize civilian casualties.
And the fact that they use human shields.
Which side uses human shields?
Hamas, obviously.
Hamas only. So you're not familiar with any human shields being used by Israelis, right? Right?
I've seen some of the claims, and every time I looked into it, the ones that I looked into, they were lies. If you have some examples that I haven't looked into, but the ones I've investigated, they were lies against Israel. But
Okay.
yeah. So, by the way, that's also whataboutism. We're talking about Hamas.
Okay, but so is it also lies when we're talking about torture in Israeli prisons? Is that
So
something
this is
that you
basically
consider?
change the subject to because. So have you basically given up on the point on that Israel use it, because we could
No.
change the subject, but I would assume that that means that you didn't have any points against me saying that Israel goes beyond and above any other country to try to civilian casualties. Usually when people like I'm not saying you're doing that, but usually when people want to go to another point, they use like, oh, but Israel does this, is because they don't have any points regarding the argument that we were in the middle of.
Armin, you have to give me a chance and be fair. You haven't given me a chance.
I am giving you, but I am giving you a chance.
You're assuming my beliefs. You're assuming my beliefs before I've even spouted any of them. So
let
me give you something.
I
give you something quick.
I don't know. Okay, make your point, and then we need to move to other people as well. But go on.
Well, I mean, I need to make that point. This is not making my point, but I'm just giving you something so you understand where I'm coming from. I agree with you that the Israelis don't have to alert certain places and people before they bomb someplace, right? I see that happen, and I understand that happens, and I'm grateful that they have that, right? That they sometimes give the warning in advance so people can get out of harm's way. That's point one. Just to show you that I can give credit where it's due. I'm not somebody who's just completely anti-Israel for the sake of it. All right, but at the same time, I'm not just going to sing their praises all the time as well, because I do feel there is a lot to be said in how Israel themselves have handled this war, whether the killing has been proportionate, or not. So 2 points that you were talking about, and then I'll move away. Like you're asking me to go away. So just after these 2 points, I swear.
Come back. Let's continue this discussion at some other point. But go on.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so the first one you were saying, because the Hamas don't wear military fatigue whilst in combat, this means that they understand that the Israelis are not trying to kill civilians. Hence, they appear in civilian clothing because they know they'll be protected more that way. Correct?
It's an indication that they understand that. Plus, also added to the fact that they use human shield. Yes.
But at the same time, what we understand is obviously what we're saying is we both agree that Israel could potentially nuke Gaza tomorrow, and everything's done with. Everybody's dead. They can nuke the West Bank. They can nuke Egypt, Saudi Arabia, everybody, right? And they'll probably get away with it, knowing how the international community are with them. So can they do that? Yes, they can. Have they done it? No, they haven't. Does that mean that we kind of praise them for not doing it? Maybe somewhat. But at the same time, in my counter argument to the fact that Hamas wears civilian uniforms is because they themselves know if they're wearing Hamas uniforms, they're more likely to be killed and shot. It doesn't necessarily mean that Israel is very protective of the civilian population. So that's just my counter argument. We can argue about that if you want, but sure you don't want to.
Let me. I'm gonna. Okay, Uncle Def, I'm gonna come to you, but let me just quickly respond. It would only make it more likely if Israel cared about civilian cared about civilian casualties. It wouldn't. If killing civilians didn't matter to Israel, then the odds wouldn't matter to change that much. But okay.
So back to the one-on-one ratio. You were saying one combatant, 1-to-1 civilian. This is my last point.
But I need to. Okay, last point, because I need to move to Uncle Def.
This is my last point. It's where did you get the number from 1-to-1? Because this is only an Israeli number. This hasn't been like independently verified.
No, actually, that comes. How come you give me your Hamas numbers, right? So how come that's actually putting the Hamas number next to the Israeli number? So when you say 60,000 people die in Gaza, that's a Hamas number. So you're saying we should trust the Hamas number, but not the Israeli number?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Not because I like Hamas. I think Hamas should be eradicated. And I wish for the day that Hamas completely annihilated. But let me follow up with why that I trust their numbers. It's not because Hamas says them. It's because the health ministry in Gaza, is made up of
That's
both
Hamas.
Hamas and the Palestinian. No, it's both. It's both Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. That's the only ministry in Gaza which is shared. Okay. Second of all,
The
there have
Palestinian
been
Authority
many.
is not any better. Like,
Yes, there have
when
been
it comes
many.
to
Armin, there have been many studies, including I think one from was it ABC or NBC very recently, about a month ago, where they go and verify the exact number of people who died. They try and go and verify it to see. They started off with the intent of trying to show that those numbers were false, and they came up with the conclusion. And the UN, the World Health Organization, plus this American media organization, they all came to the conclusion that the numbers were pretty accurate. So that's the only reason.
I have a study that shows that Hamas made up the numbers with regards to lots of children dying, and the number of children dying they exaggerated by a huge number. I have a study that shows that. But anyways, I'm not even saying that 60,000 people did not die, but I'm just saying it's amazing that we're trusting Hamas numbers, but Israel, which has a lot more checks and balances. And many people within Israel, within Israel, we have so many within Israel, we have so many investigative journalists who are very anti-government and criticize the government all the time. And they're digging into all of these numbers, desperately trying to find something to criticize the government for. There's so many checks and balances within Israel when it comes to these numbers. So if we're not trusting Israeli numbers, then we should not trust Hamas numbers. But if you are coming into a conversation trusting Hamas numbers, then it's very, very, I think, hypocritical for us then to not trust Israeli numbers.
Okay, so like I pointed out to you, I'm not trusting Hamas numbers purely because Hamas gave them, and I gave you an explanation why.
Yeah, and
told you why.
And I'm also not trusting Israeli numbers purely because Israel gave.
So my point. Okay, so my point on the one-on-one, the one-to-one basically looks at adult males within combatant age compared to adult males outside of combat age and women and children. So that's the one-on-one ratio that Israel comes up with. It isn't combatants and civilians, because as you know, you can have a 30-year-old civilian. Not everybody is Hamas, correct? So all these males, like when they're 18, 19, 20, all the way to 45 or whatever, as you know, you've lived in Iran a very long time. I'm from the Middle East as well.
That makes it in favor of Israel, though. That argument makes it even more in favor of Israel.
Listen, how does that make it more in favor? They're basically choosing every male civilian killed as a potential combatant.
That's your point. Okay, no, that's not what they're doing. That's not what they're doing. Israel has a very good understanding of who's a target. They actually one area of criticism for Israel is that they don't have a good record of the civilians, but they have a very good record of who are the targets. That's why we're forced to get the total numbers from Hamas, even though it's Hamas. Because Israel doesn't have good records of other civilians, but Israel has a very good intelligence when it comes to who's the target.
Yeah. So, but your one-on-one figure, if you look it up, it's based on men of combat age compared to men.
No, it's not. Israel doesn't consider every man of combat age as combatant. That's not at all the case.
Okay, that's the one-to-one ratio. So where are you getting the one-to-one ratio from? And we'll just look it up.
I already told you. And also, by the way, let me actually say that when it comes to ratios, Israel just managed to achieve a new record in Iran during the 12-day war. They managed to actually reduce the civilian. I know Israel always tries to reduce civilian casualties, because when they did attack the Islamic Republic in Iran, the 1,000 people died, and the number of civilian casualties was 280, according to the Islamic Republic's own reports. So this is the level. So that's a new historic record that nobody has ever beaten, including even Israel, when it comes to reduce. Yeah. So but anyways, I need to move to.
But this is an internal Israeli database. There's an Israeli intelligence database that indicates about 83% of the Palestinians that have been killed were civilians. And this is an investigation. These are declassified. Well, these are classified figures which have been leaked. So it's 83% of Palestinians killed in Gaza have been civilians. It's not 1-to-1. It's not even anywhere close. And you can look.
Everything I've looked at shows that the ratio is not that. Everything I looked at. So if you just take the number,
Armin, that's fine.
I've seen so many reports from so many different
yes,
credible sources that comes with the same number.
It doesn't matter. The reason why I'm discussing and debating with you is because I believe that you're coming into this genuinely trying to be an honest truth seeker, and I hope that's the case. Look at a report by 1972 magazine, which is an Israeli magazine, and there's a report written by Yuval Abraham on August 21st, 2025. That's the report I'm talking about. They basically debunk the argument of 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. They're saying it's at least 83%. I'm just saying
I'm sure you can, yeah, but when you make a claim like this, when I need to do fact checking live, I've seen study after report after report after report that based on credible sources that refer to that 1-to-1 ratio, right? So anybody could just come in a live show and then just there are studies. There are biased studies, okay, and it's let me make this. It's really hard live on air for me to check the credibility of a report. But it's really easy to try to I'm not saying that's what you're doing, okay? That's not what you're doing. But in a live discussion, when it's really difficult to check the credibility of a report, just dropping because there are studies showing anything that you want. I could find a study for any point, and live on air checking the credibility of it is almost impossible.
Armin, it's okay. All I'm saying, I wasn't trying to one up you here. Right? This is not a debate. I'm having a discussion with somebody who I consider similar to a friend. As you can see, I'm not being hostile to you in any way. All I'm saying,
I'm not being hostile to you either, am I?
I don't. No. But this is the thing I'm saying. All I care about is I'm trying to give you new information to hopefully allow you to go and check that information following this debate. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I've won a debate or anything like that. I'm just saying for any listeners out there who want to look into this further.
But here's the thing. If you want to, you could send me. You could say this. You could say, Armin, I'm going to send you because I follow you right now on X, so you could send me that. But because this conversation is obviously not just between you and me, other people are watching, and most people are not going to go fact check. So dropping a study that I haven't checked the credibility on a live show where most people are not going to go fact check is something that's going to get the audience with a lot of misunderstanding of what the situation is like that. So maybe send me the study so I could fact check it before next time we talk.
Let me clarify to the audience. I am giving you where to go and look, and you can go and check these things yourself. I'm not telling you to trust my word on this. I'm just saying go and search for it. It's written by Yuval Abraham. Post 1972 magazine. It's an Israeli publication. Just type in Yuval Abraham post 1972 magazine. Not 1972, sorry, 972. That's the Israeli calling code. And put Israeli intelligence debate 1-to-1 ratio, and see what comes up. And that's all I'm saying. Read that, and then make your mind whether you.
I've seen from within Israel there are there's so many accusations against their own government, and for example. There was a report, what was that, by which publication that came out and said that Israeli soldiers are shooting at civilians just randomly. And then as soon as people looked into it, they saw that was based on I don't know, on purpose mistranslation, or was it negligence, or was it on purpose? I don't know. But within
okay.
You spoke. Let me also talk. You talk to the audience. Let me also speak to the audience for 1 second. Give me a second. Give me a second, please. Give me a second. Given that you said that to the audience, let me also let the audience know that within Israel there are many publications who are aggressively trying to get followers and readers just because their job is to be anti their government. So finding publications that tries to condemn their own government in Israel is an easy thing to do. Israel is a democracy, it's a free country, and in a free country where a lot of media get their viewers by being controversial or being going against the grain, are basically saying things that are controversial. In any free country that is democratic, you are going to have many publications coming up with a lot of nonsense just because they have a base of people who would want that, right? So just because there's within Israel somebody published something against the government, that doesn't make it credible.
That's good. That's a caveat, right? So you're providing a caveat in that, hey, if you guys go and see this on the website, don't instantly believe it. Do more due diligence and more research into it. We're not saying to people, hey, dismiss this altogether. Don't even bother looking at it because people are nasty and they say stuff that's anti-Israel, right? This is what you're saying. It's just a caveat of research more into it, even if you find it. And that's it. You're happy with that. We're not dismissing anything outright, right? Before you've even seen the study, you're not dismissing it outright, correct? That's all I want.
Yeah. I'm not accepting it and I'm not dismissing it, obviously. Yeah.
Exactly. That's fine. Anyway, good luck to everything, and I'll let you go and talk to others. And thank you very much.
Well, I need to. Yeah, thank you. I think that guy was waiting, gave up.
Well,
he's here.
Yeah.
Okay, Uncle. Thank you so much. Thank you, and I'll talk to you again. Let me see. Where's that guy that kept on wanting to talk?
It was Rajib.
Oh no, it was Uncle
Hello.
Def and Rajib.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, both of them were waiting, and I need to go soon. Okay, Rajib, can you make your point really fast, and then I go to Uncle Def really fast because I need to go soon.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank the Islamic Republic government for supporting the resistance and keeping the Israeli plans for Greater Israel in check by arming resistance on the Houthis, the Hamas and Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad. And it's just that without them, Israel would have conquered all these countries by now. So you have to give them a thumbs up for that, okay? And the main purpose of Israel existing is to build their temple over Al-Aqsa. That's the long-term goal. That may not have started out in the beginning, but that's the way it's headed right now. So one step at a time. Some of them are even willing to go all the way to Mecca and Medina. This is a religious conflict, actually. It's going to take time, but people are going to see how it's going to turn out. They're willing for the Messiah to come back once their temple is built. Some of these Jewish groups are asking for the Messiah to return because they never really believed in Christ. And yeah, that's my main point. So Iran is doing its job. It's doing its due diligence and it's fulfilling Islamic prophecy. So we're happy for Iran's involvement in supporting the resistance. Any counter to that?
Yeah, first of all, it's not Iran who's doing this. It's the Islamic Republic. The Iranian people are supporting Israel more and more.
It doesn't matter.
I'm talking. Hey, did I interrupt you, Reggie? Did I interrupt?
I meant your government.
Okay,
hold on.
Did I interrupt you a single time?
All right, go on.
Okay. It's not, Iran is not doing anything against Israel. In fact, Iran supports Israel. Iran and Israel have ancient historic ties. The Iranian people love Israel. The Iranian people are united. The nation of Iran is united with the nation of Israel, and the bond is getting stronger and stronger every single day. When it comes to the Islamic Republic, which does not represent Iran, it's an occupying force against the will of the people. They are the most anti-Iranian force in the world. So calling them Iran is an insult to the Iranian people. So yeah, the Islamic Republic has been helping all the enemies of Israel worldwide, and they seem to be Israel has seemed to manage to defeat every single one of them. So the Islamic Republic created a global army against Israel, and Israel is a tiny little country that is so powerful that manages to fight in 7 different battles at the same time and win every single one of them. So Hamas has been decapitated, Hezbollah has been decapitated, Hashd Shabi and Kataib are in the process of being decapitated, and your favorite Houthis, just I think it was 2 days ago, Israel did a masterful attack on the Houthis and basically took out their major leaders. So it doesn't matter how many evil forces around the world Islamic Republic supports. Israel historically has won bigger battles and stronger enemies than the Islamic Republic, and the Islamic Republic would be just one of the attempts in history against Israel that Israel managed. Israel has overcome all of its enemies, and Islamic Republic will be no different. And against the wishes of anti-Jewish people and anti-Israelis around the world, and the Islamic forces around the world, Israel lives today. Israel has survived. Israel lives today, and Israel will continue to live. And you will take your wish of annihilating Israel to your graves.
Can I counter that now?
Yes, of course.
Hello. Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
okay.
I was saying, what you're seeing is just a temporary setback by the resistance, because the main objective of the Israeli state is to build their temple. This is not being guided by normal, maybe not even a lot of normal Jews. Maybe it's something from higher above. Okay, it's more esoteric. Bibi Netanyahu met Michael Schneerson in 1994, and his intention, and he told him to bring back the Messiah, and Netanyahu said he's trying. So this main force behind this is the Antichrist. Yes, the temple will be built. Yes, Al-Aqsa will be destroyed. What do you call it? The main resistance are temporarily crippled or kept in check. But once that happens, then you're going to see real bloodbath. So it's coming. It's not yet there. Palestine will be liberated, but after Al-Aqsa is blown up and the temple is built. So just wait and see, and let's see how things play out.
I mean, I really thank you, because I don't really need to respond to that, because I like for the people to see how a lunatic anti-Israeli people are, and the more you speak, the more people will see the level of discourse that anti-Israelis have. So I really appreciate you coming and making that clear to more people, the nature of people who stand against Israel. So the more you talk, the better it is for us. But anyways, Rajib, I need to move on to the next person. I appreciate you being here. Let me go to you. You could come back again.
Name calling isn't benefiting anybody. Name calling and slandering people is
No, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Me saying that's why I was thanking you. My response wasn't benefiting
no. A lot
anybody.
of people agree with me though. So what? Millions of people agree with me. Just like you have your camp.
Yeah, that's an appeal. That's an appeal to popularity. That's not an argument.
Who said popularity where? In your little bubble, in X or in your YouTube channel, there's a lot more people that agree with me worldwide.
That makes my point, Reggie. That's you don't. I think you don't understand what appeal to popularity means. I didn't say I'm popular. I said you're appealing to popularity. You don't understand. You don't even understand what I'm saying.
But is that what you said? I missed that. Maybe I missed that. Okay.
Yeah. I said that's exactly why we're Zionists, because so many people are anti-Jewish and anti-Israel, because you guys are so high in numbers. So that's why Israel is worth defending. I didn't say that you guys are few in numbers.
Let me interject for a second. Anti-Zionism and anti-Israeli attitudes are only recent after October 7th. Before that, most people in the West were sympathetic to the Israeli state and in fact pro-Zionist.
That's not true.
So this
that's
is
not true.
Recent turnaround.
That's not true.
Yeah, it's a very recent turnaround.
No, that's not true.
Okay, we can disagree.
Anti-Jewish hatred is ancient and is widespread. Anyways, Reggie, I do want to give Uncle. You could come in and talk to me again at other time. Okay, I will follow you. Okay, so that you get to follow me back, so we could be in touch about future discussions. Okay. But let me also go to Uncle Death, because he or she has been waiting for a long time. I want to see what that because I need to go. I have another show I need to do. But Uncle Death, can you also open your mic? Sorry for making you wait for so long. Uncle Death, this is your moment now. Okay, if you don't respond, I'm going to end the show. Okay. All right, so I think that's good enough. I made the show 2 hours. These shows are supposed to be 1 hour only.
I think you're ending it a little early. You haven't really won anything.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, obviously, from your perspective, it doesn't really matter what I say. You would never consider me. I think the people who think that
true.
I think, don't worry, you're not my audience. My audience think I did a really good job. Right, so
of course,
I don't do the show for you. So your opinion, your judgment on how I did is irrelevant to me. But
can you do something else for your audience? Could you sing us a song?
Okay, so you're a troll now. Okay, let me actually, because I need
It's not a
to
troll, bro. I mean,
put you to speaker because you could see that I'm trying to say goodbye to my audience and you're not letting me. So I had to put you into the speaker. I have another show that, guys, by the way, my YouTube channel, and I have another YouTube channel called Armin Navabi. That's a very small channel where I talk about business and entrepreneurship and using AI on that channel. So I'm going to go there now. But don't come there if you want to talk politics, because that channel is not about religion or politics. We just are a small community there that talks about how to use AI to succeed in life. So that's where I'm going to go now. I do 4 shows every day. So this is my 4th show today. So I'm going to go there now. And if you guys are interested in that topic, come over there. But please don't come there and talk about politics and religion. That channel is not for that. Okay, guys, I'm going to end. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I do appreciate the people who disagreed with us. That I hope I get to talk to you guys again. Let me make sure that I follow everybody that shows up in my spaces. I do want to make sure that I follow everybody that is here so I could encourage more people to show up here. Okay, follow. Okay, hold up. Oh, that person, John. I'm going to follow John. I'm going to follow you. I can't pronounce some of these names. Elif, I followed you. Kayvon, I follow you. Uncle Death, I follow you as well. Mamal, follow. Okay. I try to follow people who show up in my spaces. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. And let me end the space before I end the YouTube stream. Oh, yeah, no, I'll end it both at the same time. All right, guys. I'm Israel Chai, Javid Shah. See you on the next show. Same time tomorrow. Okay. Bye, guys. Oh, wait. I need to oh my God. I should have I ended the space, but I need to read the super chat. Let me read this. I read this one already. Yeah, I read that one already. User, proud Zionist from India. Well, good job, user 700, for being a Zionist from India. I appreciate you being here. Sean is saying Ireland has the right of return. Lithuania has the right of return. I'm sure there are others. Yes, good point. Ido is saying, if you move to Israel after, oh yeah, I already read that one. Shana is saying, Ukrainian friend went to visit family years ago. The government found out that he was there and literally forced him to do his military service for Ukraine. Exactly. That's another good example. And Ginga is saying, America is indigenous name, not after, I don't know what that is. Okay, I just highlighted it on the screen for people to read it. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyways, guys, thank you guys in the YouTube chat as well. I appreciate all of you guys. And then I'm going to go now to my own personal channel. Just give me 5 minutes so I could go do a washroom break and drink some water. And then I'll come and do the live stream on my personal channel. Okay. All right, guys. I'm Israel Chai and Javid Shah. Bye, guys.